The trap of chasing. There's a particular pain that grips a man when the woman he cares about starts to withdraw. It's subtle at first. She takes longer to respond to texts. Her tone becomes colder. Her enthusiasm fades. What once felt warm and effortless now feels like walking on eggshells. The panic sets in. Is she losing interest? What did I do wrong? How do I fix this? And with each unanswered question, the temptation to chase her intensifies. You want to send the message that will bring her back. You want to surprise her with something thoughtful. You want to remind her why you're good together. The impulse is strong. It feels like the only way to get her attention, to restore the emotional connection, is to lean in harder. But this is the very moment that determines whether you retain your power or lose it completely. What most men don't realize is that chasing a woman who is pulling away almost always backfires. Not only does it rarely bring her closer, but it often accelerates the emotional distance. Why? Because chasing changes the dynamic. It shifts your energy from grounded masculinity to reactive desperation. It signals that her validation means more to you than your own sense of self-worth. And whether consciously or unconsciously, women feel this and often recoil from it. But here's the good news. This moment of distance is not necessarily the end. It's a test. Sometimes consciously, sometimes not, women pull away to see how you'll respond. They want to know, are you centered? Can you handle emotional uncertainty? Will you collapse into neediness, or will you remain composed and grounded? This essay is your guide to passing that test. Why women pull away. Before we dive into what to do when she pulls away, we need to understand why it happens. There are a variety of reasons, and they're not always about you. Sometimes they are, but not always. Here are a few common patterns. 1. Emotional overload. Sometimes the connection gets intense too quickly. She may feel swept up and suddenly needs space to recenter herself. It's a self-preservation instinct, not a personal attack. 2. Testing your frame. Women often test a man's emotional stability. If she pulls away and you panic, chase, or become emotionally erratic, she now has her answer. She can control your emotional state, which is deeply unattractive. 3. Shift in feelings. Yes, sometimes she really is losing interest. That's painful, but clarity is better than false hope. Still, this doesn't mean chasing her will change anything. If she's slipping away, smothering her only confirms her decision. 4. Life stressors, family issues, work pressure, personal anxiety, all can cause her to pull back. In this case, giving space shows emotional intelligence and maturity. 5. Attraction dynamics. Attraction isn't static. It breathes. It fluctuates. Periods of closeness often precede periods of withdrawal. It's a natural rhythm. Learning to stay centered through these fluctuations is key. The male instinct to chase. As men, we're wired to pursue. It's in our biology. If something matters to us, we move toward it. We take action. We try to fix, solve, conquer. But in emotional dynamics, especially romantic ones, this instinct can be your undoing. You've likely been conditioned to believe that effort equals value. That if you just try hard enough, if you prove your worth, she'll come around. But here's the paradox. Attraction doesn't respond to effort. It responds to energy. Desperate energy repels. Calm confidence attracts. The problem isn't that you care, it's that when she pulls away, your desire to fix things becomes emotionally self-serving. It becomes about you needing reassurance rather than respecting her space. What you think is loving harder often comes across as grasping tighter. And nothing suffocates feminine energy like masculine neediness. Why chasing backfires? Let's break this down practically. You feel her slipping away. You send more texts. You ask if everything's okay. You overanalyze her responses. She replies with less enthusiasm or not at all. You feel even more insecure. You try harder. You plan something romantic or confront her emotionally. She grows colder. You become desperate. She distances herself further or ends things entirely. Sound familiar? This is the classic feedback loop of the chase. The harder you pull, the faster she runs. Not because she's cruel or manipulative, but because your energy is no longer rooted in strength. It's rooted in fear. And fear is repulsive to attraction. This doesn't mean you need to become emotionally distant or play games, but it does mean you need to adopt a completely different frame, one of emotional mastery, calm detachment, and inner fulfillment. This essay is not a set of manipulative tactics to win her back. That's not the point. If that's your goal, you're already starting from the wrong mindset. Instead, this is about becoming the kind of man who doesn't need to chase because his value is self-evident. The kind of man whose presence is felt even in his silence. The kind of man who understands that space is sometimes the most powerful response. You'll learn why women pull away and how to decode it. What emotional energy you're projecting when you chase. How to re-anchor in your masculine frame and purpose. When to lean in and when to walk away. How to cultivate emotional sovereignty so you never feel powerless again. Attraction isn't maintained by proximity. It's maintained by polarity. Masculine and feminine energy are magnetic when each is grounded in authenticity. When you chase, you collapse that polarity. When you hold your center, you amplify it. This is not just about her. This is about you, your growth, your self-respect, your emotional evolution. If she comes back, great. If she doesn't, you'll be stronger, wiser, and more grounded than you've ever been. Understanding why a woman pulls away is the first step toward responding with emotional intelligence rather than reactive desperation. When she becomes distant, it's easy to assume the worst. She's seeing someone else. She's lost interest, or I screwed this up. But often, the reality is more complex and rooted in psychology, biology, and emotional patterns that neither of you may fully recognize in the moment. In this section, we're going to dig deep into the mental, emotional, and instinctual factors that influence a woman's decision to pull away. This will not only help you make sense of her behavior, but also prevent you from internalizing her distance as a reflection of your worth. Instead of taking it personally, you'll begin to see it for what it often is, an unconscious test of your emotional maturity and self-possession. 1. Attachment styles, the hidden blueprint of relationships. To understand why someone withdraws in a romantic relationship, we must begin with attachment theory. Developed in psychological research and popularized by figures like John Bowlby and Mary Ainsworth, attachment theory outlines the ways people emotionally bond and protect themselves from vulnerability in relationships. There are 4 primary attachment styles: secure attachment, comfortable with closeness, open communication, and trust. These people balance intimacy with independence. Anxious attachment, craves closeness but fears abandonment, often becomes clingy or emotionally reactive. Avoidant attachment, values independence to the point of emotional distance. Withdraws when things become too emotionally intense. Fearful avoidant, disorganized, a mix of both anxious and avoidant traits. Wants closeness but fears it, often acting unpredictably. If a woman has an avoidant or fearful avoidant attachment style, she may instinctively pull away when things start to feel too emotionally close, even if she likes you. It's not about you doing something wrong, it's her nervous system trying to protect her from vulnerability. On the flip side, if you have an anxious attachment style, her pulling away will likely trigger a powerful panic response in you. You'll feel the urge to chase, to reassure her, to fix things, but chasing an avoidant person only pushes them further away. This creates the toxic, anxious avoidant trap, where the more you pursue, the more they withdraw, and the more they withdraw, the more you panic. Understanding this dynamic is crucial. If you know that her pulling away might be rooted in her own fear of closeness, you can respond with calm rather than panic. You learn to hold your frame. 2. Emotional cycles and rubber band theory. In Mars and Venus on a Date, Dr. John Gray introduces what he calls the rubber band theory of masculine and feminine energy. He explains that men often need space to regain their sense of autonomy, while women need emotional closeness. But interestingly, as relationships progress, women sometimes also need to pull away to reconnect with their own sense of emotional balance. Just like a rubber band stretches before it snaps back, some women instinctively create distance before they move closer again. This doesn't mean she's leaving, it means she's feeling. And feeling requires space. Women are emotionally complex, Their internal world can shift due to any number of things: hormonal cycles, stress from work, family or friends, fears of emotional vulnerability, memories from past relationships, questions about the future. When these emotions swell, she may need time alone to sort through them. If you try to insert yourself into that process, it can feel invasive, even if you're trying to help. But if you give her that space with maturity and calm, she often comes back with more clarity and affection than before. The key is timing. Chase her during her pullback phase and you interrupt her internal rhythm. Stay grounded, and she's more likely to snap back emotionally once the wave passes. 3. Feminine emotional tests, conscious or unconscious. Whether women realize it or not, they often test the emotional strength of the man they're with. This is not malicious. It's not playing games. It's evolutionary. The feminine is drawn to strength, not just physical strength, but emotional stability, the ability to remain calm in the face of chaos. When she pulls away, she may be testing your neediness, your confidence, your independence, your emotional reactivity. She may not even realize she's doing it. But if she senses that you're overly attached to her responses, she may feel less safe with you emotionally. She wants to know, are you a rock or are you a leaf in the wind? This doesn't mean you should become emotionally distant or robotic. It means your emotional core must remain centered. She needs to feel that you are whole without her, that you're choosing her, not clinging to her, that if she steps back, your world doesn't collapse. When you can pass this test by staying composed, focused, and grounded, you actually deepen her attraction. You communicate a message far more powerful than words. I want you, but I don't need you. 4. Hormonal and biological rhythms. The modern dating world often ignores how deeply biology influences behavior. But the truth is, a woman's monthly hormonal cycle has a massive impact on her emotional openness, sexual desire, and communication style. For example, during ovulation mid-cycle, she is typically at her most vibrant, affectionate, and sexually receptive. During the luteal phase, the week before her period, she may feel moody, withdrawn, or irritable. In that phase, she's more likely to need emotional space and less likely to engage affectionately. If you mistake this natural withdrawal for lack of interest and begin chasing her, you create unnecessary friction. On the other hand, if you understand her rhythms and allow space without resentment, she will feel deeply understood, even if she doesn't articulate it. In long-term relationships, emotionally intelligent men learn to track these patterns, not to control her, but to align their expectations. In dating, it helps to remember, her pullback may be cyclical, not personal. 5. Social conditioning and feminine self-protection. Modern women are bombarded with conflicting messages. Be strong and independent. Find a man who makes you feel safe. Don't need a man. Fall in love deeply. These contradictions create inner turmoil. Many women have been hurt before, by emotionally unavailable men, by betrayals, or by partners who became controlling once closeness deepened. So even if she genuinely likes you, she may pull away out of self-protection. In some cases, she's simply trying to figure out how much she can trust you. If you panic when she withdraws, you reinforce her fear that men can't handle emotions. But if you stay calm, respectful, and consistent, you stand out as someone worth trusting. 6. The role of mystery in attraction. One of the most misunderstood elements of romantic attraction is the power of mystery. In the early stages of dating, part of what draws her in is not knowing everything about you. There's space for her imagination. There's uncertainty, excitement, and intrigue. But when a man begins to chase after the first signs of emotional withdrawal, he often overshares, overreaches, and overextends. In doing so, he removes the mystery. He shows his emotional cards too early. He floods the dynamic with neediness and predictability kills attraction. Instead, holding back just enough creates room for her to lean in. It keeps her emotionally engaged. It allows space for wonder. What is he thinking? Why is he so calm? Does he even miss me? You don't create attraction by flooding her with attention. You create it by embodying presence without pressure, by being a grounded man who allows space without losing connection. Let's recap the core reasons a woman might pull away. Her attachment style leads her to fear emotional closeness. She's navigating emotional waves or biological cycles. She's subconsciously testing your emotional strength. She's influenced by past trauma or conditioning to be cautious. She's experiencing natural fluctuations in attraction and desire. She's pulling back to see if you'll chase or hold your frame. And here's the most important insight. The way you respond to her distance determines what happens next. If you chase, you confirm her fears. If you hold your frame, you deepen her attraction or gain clarity about her real intentions. Either way, you remain in your power. Why chasing is a mistake. There's a simple but devastating truth most men discover the hard way. The more you chase her, the less she wants to be caught. Chasing a woman who's pulling away may feel like the right thing to do. It feels brave, vulnerable, committed. You're expressing how much she means to you. You're trying to show effort. You're hoping that if you just do enough, say the right thing, send the right message, make the right gesture, she'll turn around and appreciate it. But attraction doesn't operate by effort. It operates by energy. And the moment your energy shifts from strength to neediness, from presence to pursuit, from confidence to panic, you lose her. In this section, we'll explore in detail why chasing backfires, how it shifts the psychological and emotional dynamics of your relationship, and how it sabotages the very connection you're trying to save. 1. Chasing changes the power dynamic. Healthy relationships are balanced. When both partners are mutually invested, there's a flow of give and take. But the moment you start chasing, you tilt that balance, and not in your favor. Think of attention and interest like currency. When a woman senses that she holds all the emotional currency, that her withdrawal causes you to double your investment, she naturally starts to devalue your presence. It's not out of malice. It's instinctive. Here's what happens subconsciously. You feel her withdrawing emotionally. You start texting more, asking questions, or expressing concern. She realizes, he's more into me than I am into him right now. She unconsciously assigns less value to your attention. The emotional gap widens, and you keep pouring in more energy to close it. It becomes a feedback loop. The more you chase, the more she withdraws. The more she withdraws, the more you panic. And panic is not attractive. Instead of inspiring affection, chasing causes her to feel pressure. It signals that you're no longer standing in your masculine frame. You're trying to force a connection rather than allow attraction to naturally flow back. 2. The scarcity trap. You become abundant to her humans. Value what is rare and difficult to attain. This is not just romantic, it's psychological. Scarcity creates value. Abundance reduces it. When you begin to chase her, you make yourself overabundant. Your time, your attention, your emotions, they're all too easily accessible. There's no mystery, no challenge, no tension. Think of it this way. A man who remains calm and collected when a woman pulls away becomes a question in her mind. Why isn't he reacting? Does he not care? Is he seeing someone else? Is he more emotionally mature than I thought? A man who chases her instantly becomes an answer. I've got him, I don't have to do anything. He's more invested than I am. When she knows she can have you at any time, she no longer feels the urgency to connect. That's the scarcity trap. You become too emotionally available at the wrong time. Not only does it destroy the tension needed for attraction, but it signals insecurity, which is deeply unattractive to the feminine. By chasing, you go from being the prize to being the pursuer. And the feminine energy by nature wants to be drawn in, not dragged in. 3. Chasing signals. You've lost frame. Frame is your internal emotional and mental posture. It's the unshakable sense of who you are, what you value, and how you move through the world. Masculine frame is strength, purpose, calm, direction. It's knowing that nothing outside of you, no reaction, no woman, no outcome, can disturb your center. When you chase, you lose that frame. You become reactive. You adjust your emotions based on hers. You abandon your principles to gain proximity to her. You try to manage her feelings instead of standing firm in your own. This communicates to her, consciously or not. You're the emotional leader in this relationship. My sense of self depends on your attention. I can't handle your distance. I need your approval. Women test men not because they're cruel, but because they want to feel safe. And they feel safe with men who can lead emotionally, who can stay grounded even when things feel uncertain. If you fold at the first sign of emotional withdrawal, she doesn't feel secure. She sees that your emotions are dependent on hers, and that makes you emotionally unreliable. You don't protect her, you chase her, and protection, not pursuit, is the essence of real masculinity. 4. The feminine response to pressure. Here's something critical to understand. The feminine reacts poorly to pressure. Pressure can take many forms. Constant texts, asking what's wrong. Repeated attempts to talk about the relationship. Gifts or grand gestures when she's emotionally checked out, trying to remind her of how good things used to be. These may come from a place of love, but they don't land as love. They land as pressure. And pressure triggers the feminine to close off, not open up. A woman cannot be convinced into attraction. She must feel it on her own terms, in her own time. That feeling often requires space, stillness, and contrast. If you never let her miss you, she never has the opportunity to remember why she was drawn to you in the first place. Chasing denies her the gift of longing. It fills the silence that might have reignited her desire. It short-circuits the mystery that fuels attraction. Instead of pulling her closer, pressure pushes her further. Always. 5. Chasing often comes from fear, not love. Let's get brutally honest. When you chase, it's not always because you love her. It's often because you fear losing her. And fear-based energy creates a magnetic repulsion. You might think, I just want her to understand how much I care. I don't want her to think I'm giving up. If I stop trying, she'll think I never really loved her. But what she actually perceives is, he's trying to control my emotions. He can't let go. He's insecure. He's not giving me the space I need to feel again. Love says, I trust you to make your own choice. I'll be okay no matter what. Fear says, I need you to validate me. I'm not okay without you. Women are exquisitely sensitive to the energetic difference between love and fear. And when your actions come from fear, they land as pressure, not affection. The moment you chase out of fear, she stops feeling emotionally safe with you. And safety is the foundation of desire. 6. Real-life examples. When chasing kills attraction. Let's bring this to life with a couple of case studies. Case 1. The text spiral. James notices his girlfriend Sarah is becoming distant. She takes longer to reply. She's less enthusiastic in conversations. He sends her a long message. Hey, I feel like something's wrong. Are you okay? I really care about us. Please don't shut me out. She doesn't respond right away, so he sends another. Then another. Eventually, she says, I just need some space right now. This is too much. He panics and tries harder. She pulls away completely. Lesson, James chased. She felt smothered. His insecurity confirmed her doubts. Case 2. The silence that created desire. David's girlfriend, Lena, pulls away for a few days. She cancels plans and seems emotionally off. David notices, but instead of reacting, he leans into his routine. He hits the gym, spends time with friends, focuses on his business. He sends a casual message, then leaves it alone. 3 days later, Lena reaches out. Hey, sorry I've been distant. I just needed to sort through some things. They meet up. She's warmer than ever. Lesson, David didn't chase. He held his frame. She felt the space and came back on her own. 7. What chasing reveals about you at its core, chasing reveals something you may not want to admit. You don't fully believe in your value. If you truly believed you were the prize, grounded, strong, and self-fulfilled, you wouldn't chase. You'd allow. You'd observe. You'd give space and see what she does with it. But chasing says, I'm afraid she won't choose me unless I fight for it. I don't trust my worth to hold her attention. Her love is scarce. I must secure it. It reveals a void inside, a void that no woman can ever fill. Chasing is not just about her pulling away. It's about your reaction to abandonment. It's about how you handle uncertainty. It's about whether you can sit in the discomfort of space without collapsing emotionally. When you chase, you don't just push her away. You betray yourself. Summary of this section. Let's recap. Why chasing her is a critical mistake. It shifts the power dynamic, making you look desperate. It removes scarcity, which kills attraction. It destroys your masculine frame and emotional leadership. It creates pressure, which causes the feminine to shut down. It comes from fear, not grounded love. It often reveals a lack of inner security, which women feel deeply. Chasing doesn't prove your worth. It proves your fear. And that fear is what truly pushes her away, not the space, not the silence, not her own confusion, but your inability to stay grounded through it all. What you must do? Instead, when a woman pulls away, your first instinct might be to close the emotional gap as quickly as possible. But that's a reactive, fear-based strategy, and as we've seen, it only drives her further away. The key is to stop reacting and start leading. Not by dominating her, convincing her, or manipulating her, but by leading yourself. So if chasing doesn't work, what should you do instead? This section lays out a grounded, step-by-step framework for handling emotional distance with calm, confidence, and masculine self-possession. You'll learn how to shift your focus inward, reclaim your emotional power, and create the exact conditions that inspire her to return. Not because you forced her to, but because she wants to. 1. Reclaim your frame. The first and most vital thing you must do is get back into your masculine frame. When she pulls away, your natural temptation will be to fall out of your center. You'll feel compelled to chase, to explain yourself, to check in, to reconnect at all costs. But you must resist that impulse. This is the moment where you define who you are. Your frame is your inner core. It's the solid foundation from which you operate, calm, clear, grounded, and purposeful. When your emotional balance depends on her responses, you've abandoned your frame. You've handed over your power. To reclaim your frame, you must detach emotionally from the outcome. Stop trying to fix the situation. Breathe, slow down, ground yourself. Return to your life's mission and purpose. You don't need to be cold or aloof, but you must become sovereign. A sovereign man is emotionally whole. He doesn't panic when a woman needs space. He doesn't equate her silence with rejection. He knows his value doesn't rise or fall based on whether she texts back. Remember, your frame is your power. The man who holds his frame is the one who holds her interest. Johannes, not embrace silence and space. Most men feel incredibly uncomfortable with silence. It creates anxiety, uncertainty, doubt. But when she pulls away, silence becomes your greatest weapon, not in a manipulative way, but in a mature, strategic one. Here's why silence works. It interrupts the chase dynamic. It gives her space to feel your absence. It allows her to process her own emotions without interference. It preserves your dignity and confidence. You must let her come to her own conclusions. Give her the space to wonder about you. Let her curiosity breathe. If you crowd her mental space with texts and emotional noise, you remove the very thing that could make her miss you, your absence. Silence is not passive. It's intentional stillness. It shows strength. It shows you trust yourself, and it signals that your love is given freely, but never begged for. What to do instead of texting? Journal about your emotions. Hit the gym with intensity. Dive deeper into a project or business goal. Spend time with grounded male friends. Meditate or go for a long walk without your phone. When you remove the compulsion to chase, you take back control of your mind. And that mental clarity is what makes you powerful in her eyes. 3. Focus on purpose, not problems. One of the most attractive traits a man can embody is mission-focused energy. This is the opposite of becoming emotionally entangled in relationship drama. When she pulls away, you must re-anchor yourself in your larger purpose. Ask yourself, what am I building? What do I want to master? Where do I want my life to go, with or without her? Women are deeply attuned to a man's energy. If she senses you've made her the center of your universe, she'll pull back instinctively. But if she feels you have a vision bigger than her, a mountain you're climbing with or without her, she'll respect you. And respect is the gateway to desire. Your purpose doesn't have to be grand. It could be writing, building a business, excelling in your craft, mentoring others, or improving your physical health. Whatever it is, let it consume you, not as a distraction, but as devotion to your evolution. Chasing focuses on the problem. Masculine strength focuses on the mission. Fourth, regulate your emotional responses. When she pulls away, you're likely to experience a surge of emotion: anxiety, sadness, confusion, even anger. This is normal, but you must learn how to regulate those emotions without reacting impulsively. The key skill here is emotional transmutation. Transmutation is the process of redirecting emotional energy into strength, productivity, or spiritual clarity. Instead of letting your feelings control you, you use them. Convert anxiety into action. Go run, lift, write, build. Convert sadness into presence. Journal deeply, meditate. Convert longing into discipline. Double down on your goals. If you've never been taught how to hold emotional energy without collapsing, now is the time to learn. This is the stoic masculine ideal. The man who feels deeply but is not controlled by his emotions. Let her pulling away be a trigger not for collapse, but for expansion. Use it to forge the version of you that doesn't just survive loss, but becomes stronger because of it. 5. Reflect, don't ruminate. It's important to reflect on what's happening, but reflection is not the same as rumination. Rumination is obsessive, anxious, and circular. It looks like, what did I do wrong? Was it that thing I said 3 weeks ago? Is she talking to another guy? Reflection, by contrast, is calm and constructive. What patterns do I tend to repeat when I feel someone pulling away? Am I seeking validation or offering genuine love? Do I still feel centered, or have I lost touch with my core? Use this time to develop self-awareness. Journal about your triggers, past relationships, emotional needs, and your responses. This is not about fixing yourself for her. It's about rising into the next level of emotional maturity. The man who can calmly reflect under pressure is the man who commands respect in every area of life. 6th, rebuild your intrinsic value. Your sense of value must not be contingent on her attention. If it is, you will always be vulnerable. The moment she pulls away, you collapse. The moment she returns, you come alive again. That's emotional slavery. You must rebuild your intrinsic value, your self-worth that is independent of external validation. Ask yourself, what makes me valuable outside of women? What do I love about myself? What have I overcome that proves my strength? What legacy do I want to leave? The more you ground yourself in your own value, the less reactive you become to anyone else's opinion of you. Women are drawn to this grounded energy. They feel safe in its presence. They feel inspired by its stability. When you stop seeking validation from her, you start radiating strength that naturally draws her back in. 7. Open the door, then step back. Eventually, you may choose to reach out, but only from a grounded, calm, non-needy place. You do this not to chase, but to signal openness without pressure. A simple message might look like, "Hey, I've been giving you space. Hope all is well. Let me know if you'd like to catch up sometime." Then, step back. Wait. Don't double text. Don't spiral. You've opened the door. Now let her walk through it if she chooses to. The strength lies not in your message, but in your detachment from the outcome. If she doesn't respond, you remain centered. If she does, you assess, not obsess. Always remember, you're choosing too. This isn't about her validation, it's about your alignment. You're not waiting for permission to feel whole. You already are. 8. Make a clear, grounded decision, if necessary. Sometimes, after giving space and centering yourself, you'll see the truth. She's not coming back. Or if she does, she's not fully invested. This is where many men falter. They keep waiting, hoping, dragging things out. But if her energy consistently tells you she's not all in, you must make a calm, grounded decision to walk away. This is not bitterness. It's clarity. You're not closing the door out of spite, but out of self-respect. You've done the work. You've held your frame. You've honored your emotions. And now you honor yourself by not waiting for breadcrumbs. When you walk away with integrity, not as a manipulation, but as a statement of self-worth, you embody a kind of power that changes your entire life. Let's review what you must do when she pulls away. Reclaim your frame. Return to your emotional center. Embrace silence. Space invites desire. Focus on purpose. Mission over drama. Regulate emotions. Transmute energy into strength. Reflect, don't ruminate. Build self-awareness, not self-doubt. Rebuild intrinsic value. Worth comes from within. Open the door once. Extend, then detach. Decide with clarity. Stay if she reciprocates. Walk if she doesn't. Attraction cannot be forced, but it can be rekindled by presence, purpose, and power. Your role is not to chase her heart, but to protect your own. How to respond if she comes back. Sometimes, after space has been created, after you've stopped chasing, rebuilt your frame, and recentered your purpose, she returns. Maybe it's a short message. Hey, how have you been? A story reply. A sudden wave of warmth after weeks of cold. This is a critical moment. Most men either jump in too quickly, undoing all the inner work they've done, or ignore her completely to win some power game, which is reactive, not mature. But the truth is, when she comes back, you must respond with strength, clarity, and calm. You're not just reacting, you're evaluating. You're not chasing, but you're also not closed off. You're not angry, but you're not naive either. This section teaches you how to handle her return like a grounded, emotionally sovereign man, so you remain in control of yourself no matter what happens next. 1. Don't get emotionally drunk. The first and most important rule, stay sober. Not literally, though that's never a bad idea, emotionally sober. When she comes back, your brain might light up like a Christmas tree. Dopamine hits. Relief floods in. You might think, she missed me after all. Maybe things are going to be normal again. This proves she cares. Slow down. This is where men lose all the progress they've made. They go from calm and centered to emotionally intoxicated in seconds. And that's when mistakes happen, because you stop leading and start reacting. She may have come back out of curiosity, comfort, loneliness, or regret. That doesn't mean she's ready to reinvest in you emotionally, so before anything else, breathe, smile. Say thank you to yourself for holding the line, and then say to yourself, let's see who she is now. Let's observe her energy. I'm not rushing back in. I'm leading this with clarity. 2. Read her energy, not just her words. Don't let her message be the only thing that sways you. Words are easy. Anyone can say, I miss you, or let's catch up. What matters is her energy and behavior. Pay attention to consistency. Is she showing steady effort over time, or is this just a one-time ping? Initiation. Is she making an effort to reach out, plan, and engage, or leaving it all on you? Emotion. Does she seem genuinely connected, open, and warm, or is she distant and vague? Respect. Is she treating you like a man of value, or is she still testing your boundaries? Energy tells the truth. If her behavior is aligned with real interest, you'll feel it. If she's just keeping you around for comfort or backup, you'll feel that too. Trust your gut, but verify with her actions. 3. Respond with warmth, but hold your frame. If you decide to respond, do so from a place of grounded warmth, not cold detachment or overeager excitement. This might look like her, hey, I've been thinking about you. You, hey there, nice to hear from you. Hope you've been doing well. That's it. No overinvestment, no flooding her with emotion, just calm, pleasant energy. You're receptive, but not chasing. Holding your frame here means you're not rearranging your life to meet her right away. You're not diving into deep emotional talks too soon. You're not seeking closure, you're offering connection if it's real. She must feel that while you're open to reconnection, you are not emotionally dependent on it. 4. Don't re-enter the relationship. Immediately. One of the most common mistakes men make is assuming that if she reaches out, the relationship is back on. Number. She might be feeling you out, testing your emotional temperature, seeing if you're still available. That doesn't mean she's all in again. So don't say, I'm so glad you reached out. I missed you so much. I've been thinking about us a lot. I really want this to work. Are we okay again now? Instead, let the connection rebuild slowly. Let her show through actions, calls, planning time together, open conversation, that she's re-engaging. Your job is not to resume where things left off. It's to observe if a new, healthier dynamic is possible. If she's serious, she'll show it. If she's not, you'll see that too. 5. Ask real questions when the time is right. Eventually, if things progress, you'll need clarity. This doesn't mean a desperate "what are we" conversation, but a strong, centered inquiry into her intentions. When the emotional temperature is right, after you've reconnected in person, spent time together, and feel emotional safety, you can say, "I've enjoyed reconnecting, but I want to be clear with myself and with you. What are you feeling about all this now?" Or more simply, "Are you looking to rebuild something real here? Or just catch up as friends?" This isn't pressure, it's clarity. You're not demanding a decision. You're leading the conversation. A high-value man wants alignment, not confusion. And if she's evasive, vague, or dismissive, that's your answer. Don't try to convince her. Don't chase clarity from someone who resists giving it. Let her go with grace. 6. Watch for the comfort trap. Some women don't come back because they want a relationship. They come back because they want comfort. This is the emotional equivalent of calling your ex when you're lonely at 11 p.m. You want the warmth, but not the work. Here's how you spot it. She vents about her problems, but avoids intimacy. She flirts, but avoids plans. She tells you she misses you, but won't commit to meeting. She wants attention, but no structure. If she's using you for emotional validation, but not showing genuine desire to reconnect romantically, you need to end the interaction with maturity. "I care about you, but I'm not available for this kind of connection. If you ever want something real, let me know. Until then, take care." This is not cold, it's leadership. You're not punishing her. You're protecting yourself. 7. Set a new standard. If you move forward. If you both decide to reconnect, don't slip back into old patterns. This is your opportunity to reset the relationship based on who you've become, not who you were. You've grown. You've centered yourself. You've learned to lead. So make sure your reconnection reflects that. This might mean having boundaries around communication, ensuring mutual effort, not one-sided pursuit, being honest about your needs and listening to hers, taking things slow until trust is rebuilt. If the relationship is to work again, it must evolve. And that evolution starts with you holding a new standard for how you show up and what kind of dynamic you're willing to accept. 8. Know when to walk away again. Sometimes she returns and it feels good for a little while, but it's still not right. Her words don't match her actions. The same patterns emerge. The emotional investment is uneven. And this time, you'll see it clearly. Why? Because you're stronger now. Walking away again doesn't mean you were wrong to reconnect. It means you had the courage to hope and the clarity to know when it's time to close the chapter for good. Leaving the second time isn't a loss, it's liberation. It's a sign that you've outgrown the dynamic even if you still care about her. It's the moment you stop being a man trying to win her back and become a man who's moving forward on his own terms. If she comes back, remember, stay emotionally sober, don't let dopamine blind you. Read her energy, actions, words. Respond with calm confidence, not neediness. Rebuild slowly, don't jump right back in. Ask real questions, seek clarity, not confusion. Avoid the comfort trap, don't be her emotional crutch. Set a new standard, grow together or walk away. Know when to walk again, your peace is the priority. Attraction may spark, love may rekindle, but unless mutual effort returns, you don't. Because now you're not chasing a woman, you're protecting a man. You. The inner game, building the man who doesn't need to chase. Every man at some point faces a painful moment. The pull of a woman's attention slipping away, the fear of losing her, the desperation to fix it. Most try to win her back through tactics, timing messages, using clever phrases, copying advice from the internet. But what if you became the kind of man who doesn't need to chase at all? The kind of man who radiates value, not because he says the right things, but because he is the right thing. This section is about the inner game, the deep foundational transformation from anxious pursuer to calm, powerful masculine presence. Not as an act, not as a manipulation, but as a truth you embody. 1. Why you chase in the first place. Before you can stop chasing, you need to understand why you do it. The urge to chase is almost never about her. It's about you, specifically your unhealed emotional patterns. Here's what often fuels the chase. Fear of abandonment. You equate her withdrawal with the old wound of being left behind. Need for validation. Her affection is proof that you're good enough. Identity entanglement. You've tied your sense of self-worth to the relationship. Control issues. You're trying to control uncertainty through action. Scarcity mindset. You don't believe other women will want you the way she did. None of these are signs of real love. They're signs of emotional dependency, and until you heal these drivers, the same chase cycle will repeat, even if it's with someone new. The real work begins within. 2. From scarcity to abundance. Men who chase operate from scarcity. If I lose her, I'll never find another like her. She was my only shot at happiness. What if I'm not enough? This belief system creates urgency, desperation, and weakness. The solution isn't fake confidence, it's building an internal life so rich, purposeful, and fulfilling that no one woman becomes your emotional oxygen. Abundance isn't about sleeping with dozens of women, it's about knowing, with certainty, you are desirable. You are emotionally sovereign. You are never lacking, even when alone. You reach this mindset through experiencing rejection and surviving it, healing your need for constant approval, building a life you love, with or without a woman, seeing your uniqueness as valuable, not needy. When you operate from abundance, you don't chase, you choose, you attract, you lead, you hold space for a connection to grow, or let it go with grace. 3. Emotional mastery is masculine strength. The strongest men aren't those who never feel emotion. They're the ones who can feel deeply without reacting destructively. This is the essence of stoicism and masculine leadership. When a woman pulls away, it's a test, not of your love, but of your center. A man with emotional mastery recognizes his feelings but doesn't act impulsively on them, understands his emotional patterns and heals his wounds, stays grounded in discomfort, speaks truth calmly, even when it's difficult. He is a rock, not because he is numb, but because he is anchored. And that energy is irresistible to a woman who is tired of weak, reactive men. To cultivate emotional mastery, journal your emotions every day. Sit in silence with your feelings, without distraction. Practice breathing techniques to reset your nervous system. Challenge yourself physically and mentally. Cold showers, hard training, public speaking, etc. Every time you hold your emotional frame under pressure, you evolve. You become less needy, more powerful. 4. Rewire your identity from boy to man. Chasing is often the behavior of a boy, driven by approval, reacting to rejection, hoping to be chosen. To stop chasing, you must become a man who chooses himself. A man's identity is rooted in purpose. He knows what he's here to build, even if he's still on the path. Principles. He has a code he lives by: truth, honor, courage, discipline, boundaries. He doesn't allow people to violate his self-respect. Leadership. He leads himself first and others naturally follow. Ask yourself, what do I stand for? Who am I becoming? Where am I still acting like a boy hoping for approval? Identity isn't fixed. You can choose to level up starting today. And the more you embody the identity of a high-value, purposeful, grounded man, the less you'll tolerate relationships that require chasing. You'll expect mutual respect and walk away when it's not present. 5. Become magnetic without needing her. Masculine magnetism isn't about looks, money, or game. It's about vibe. A man becomes magnetic when he's calm under pressure. He lives a life he's proud of. He expresses truth without fear. He has passion and direction. He respects himself deeply. Women are drawn to this, not because you're chasing them, but because you're so anchored in yourself, they feel safe and challenged in your presence. To become more magnetic, invest in your body. Strength trains your mind and presence. Create meaningful goals. Women respect men with direction. Cultivate charm, humor, presence, and authenticity, not tactics. Develop social confidence, not just with women, but with all people. The less you need to be noticed, the more you're noticed. 6. Build brotherhood and mentorship. The modern man often isolates himself emotionally. He makes his woman the center of his emotional life, and when she pulls away, he collapses. To stop chasing women, you must build a support system outside of women. Strong male friendships rooted in accountability and truth. Mentorship from older, wiser men who embody strength. Community and purpose beyond romance. A man who has brotherhood does not crumble when a woman withdraws. He leans into his circle. He processes with other men. He gets challenged, grounded, and supported. Without brotherhood, you become needy. With it, you become anchored in a tribe of strength. 7. Deep inner healing, optional but powerful. Sometimes the reason you chase is deeper than you think. It could be rooted in childhood abandonment, emotional neglect, insecure attachment styles, early rejection, or betrayal. Doing deep healing work, whether through therapy, men's work, or inner child journaling, isn't weakness. It's warrior work. Some healing practices that work. Inner child journaling. Write to and from your younger self. Somatic breathwork. Release trauma stored in the body. Shadow work. Face the parts of yourself you repress or hide. Attachment style rewiring. Learn how to feel secure without external validation. The stronger your emotional roots, the less external storms can shake you. When your emotional system is healed, you don't need to chase love. You become love. 8. Replace chase with challenge. As you grow, your frame shifts. You stop chasing women and start challenging them. This doesn't mean playing games. It means holding a standard. You ask, does she meet the energy I bring? Is she growing too, or am I carrying the whole connection? Does she respect my time, my mission, and my presence? A grounded man challenges a woman not to test her, but to invite her into growth. And women who are ready for that rise to meet it. The ones who aren't, they fade. And you stay centered either way. Here's how you become the man who doesn't need to chase. Understand your emotional patterns. Heal your scarcity mindset. Build emotional mastery. Evolve your identity from boy to man. Cultivate masculine magnetism. Create brotherhood and mentorship. Do deep healing work if needed. Challenge instead of chase. This isn't easy work. It's not fast. But it is the path to true masculine power. Because once you become the man who doesn't chase, you stop needing to win anyone back. You stand fully whole, with or without her. And that's the energy that makes love come to you and stay.